Look at that.
I don't even like the way that looks.
It looks like the ocean if the ocean was brown.
I don't like it, dude.
Just think of diarrhea.
So you're a man of science.
That's what they tell me.
Science apparently has proven this week that demos hurt game sales.
I buy that. I 100% buy that. I don't think I've ever bought a game that I've played the demo of.
Do you play demos of games you know you're gonna buy though already?
Sometimes I'll be interested in a game and I'll be like, man, I don't want to run out and grab this yet, but there's a demo, like I'll just play the demo. And I think it's something for me, like for me personally, it's something to do with like, well, I've sort of scratched that itch.
Yeah.
You know, especially if it's a game that I'm not like super pumped about. If it's a game that I'm like ridiculously pumped about,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go buy it. I'm not gonna download the demo.
Yeah,
You know?
I'm with you on that. I think demos they take kind of they take different forms, you know. We've got stuff like the XBLA demos, which is just the first chunk of the game, which I think is really, really well done because they're like, hey, why don't you try some of this?
Yeah.
And if you're into it, you literally just push some buttons and then you suddenly have the full game, which is like the coolest thing. Then you have stuff that's like separate demos. Like I got the Ni no Kuni demo because I really just wanted to get some Ni no Kuni in my face, even though it's coming out like a week later. And
nothing's more representative of a 60-hour RPG than 30 minutes of it.
it's like, hi, I know you're just coming in late, but there's a magma guy, and also you have 3 minutes to do something. Like, there wasn't a time.
You there, Cake Boy, no time to explain.
You know, there's some games that really, maybe you're not sold on the mechanics. I think it's just funny, because I remember when I was a kid, I would just play demos, because I was poor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we used to have physical copies of them, so it's not like you could just go online and download a game if you wanted to.
Before people were making internet magazine videos on the internet, we're doing sometimes at work, people would go to the supermarket and they would buy PC Gamer that would come with a video of Coconut Monkey, and he would hop out, and then you could play a demo of Time Commando.
Dude, even before that, like my experience with demos as a kid was there was a local bookstore that sold like floppy disks that had like episode 1 of Commander Keen and like episode 1 of Duke Nukem, and like that was it. And I would get those demos, and then I wouldn't pay for the rest of it. I never got the full game.
Dude, I never played
I
never played I don't think I ever played the full version of Doom until like way later. My friend just had the shareware first episode, and I was like, hell yeah. And I didn't know what the other bosses for Wolfenstein were. It was just that one first instance.
I think the first time I played Doom, like full Doom, it wasn't even Doom. It was Doom 2 for the Super Nintendo. I think that was the first time I played a full version of Doom all the way through. Yeah, and that was terrible. That was not representative.
Terrible. I think one of the best worst demos of all time that actually becomes like a different game is the demo on some old like PlayStation magazine for Thrasher Skate and Destroy, which was, you know, it was like kind of the Tony Hawk era. It was just sort of more edgy, hip skating game, and you get chased by a cop at the end. But that demo was so buggy that it became like this kind of meta game where you could be getting chased by the cop and you could ride through a wall and you would just clip through it, and you would be floating in space, and you could do like infinite like kick flips or heel grabs, and your counter would just go up to like.
And that's all you need to know, like whether you want to buy the game or not.
If there was like a PCP skater, you know, and it was just like you are so high that you think you can go through walls and go to like another dimension, like suddenly you're just in like space after getting chased by cops, and in reality you're just like lying on the grass and they're handcuffing you, and you're like, I swear I wasn't selling Vicodin to 13-year-olds. Like, that is a game I want to buy. But I don't think that demo was really the most effective way of making me want to purchase for money.
A lot of games just don't work in small slices. Like tons of, like you were talking about those like Xbox Live games. Yeah, kind of they do, because a lot of them are so simple that like, yes, if you play one level, you know if you want all the other levels. But there's some stuff that's just, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
How many people played the demo for Spec Ops: The Line, I wonder? And we're just like,
I mean, well,
and it's just the first firefight in Spec Ops.
Oh man.
There's nothing good about Spec Ops in that demo.
You get to a different type of demo there too. There's also sort of like hands-on demos. There's like trade show demos. Like I played Spec Ops at E3. That was one of the first things I covered, and I was like, I think I picked it up. It was actually in the middle of the demo because someone else had just had, like the PR guy didn't reset it or whatever, and I was just getting shot in the face, and I'm just in this sand thing, and I'm like, this is just like army game, and then everyone's like, this game should get a Pulitzer.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I remember you walking up to me there too, and you were like, yeah, I played Spec Ops. I'm like, how was it? And you were like, I think it's just like. It's just guns and stuff.
It's just guns
and
sand.
That's like all they were showing to people.
Right.
And then apparently you hate yourself at the end, and everyone's like, this made me not want to do games anymore. It was, I'm a bad man.
I feel like that's an example of a game that really doesn't work well for a demo because the appeal of it is more story-driven than most shooters, and I think that's a big reason like why RPGs in general don't work well, and really story-driven, and games that rely on like immersion, horror games also. I feel like demos should be required or mandatory for games like racing games, puzzle games that revolve around like one simple mechanic, platformers, because you do get a feel for how the bulk of the game's mechanics work.
So in that case though, that's exactly why I think games like that shouldn't have a demo, because if you give me a puzzle game with one mechanic, it's that thing that I was talking about earlier, where it's like, oh, scratch that itch.
Yeah.
I imagine the blocks fall faster.
Well, then, you know,
Great.
you mentioned platformers. Oh, man, Deadlight. Deadlight was not a good game.
No.
That was not a good game, and that was an XBLA game, so you could play the beginning of it. The beginning of that game is fantastic. It starts off so strong, and it looks so good, and it's like totally the kind of thing. Like, in the first hour I was playing that, I was like, hell yeah. And then, you know,
it just kept being Deadlight.
Like,
3
or 4 hours later, I was finishing it, and I was like, no, absolutely not. Shut it down.
Then you start getting into like wondering how representative of a full game the demo really is, because the Dead Space 3 demo does not start at the beginning of the game, although it starts at a critical turning point in the game. But a big part of the demo is weapon crafting, and they supply you with like all of the shit you need to craft a badass weapon in the demo, which isn't going to happen when you play the full game. Even when you finish the full game, you're not going to be able to make weapons as cool as what you can make in the demo.
Oh.
That, and they don't even have, there's like no mention of downloadable content in the demo anywhere in the weapon crafting, which is also sort of misleading.
You want to know a great demo, probably the best demo of all time. I'm going to go ahead and say that the best demo ever made is the one that came with Zone of the Enders for Metal Gear Solid 2, which was basically just the first half of the tanker section, which is like a small portion of the game.
Yeah.
And it was basically like, check out how awesome this game is. You can go and you can shoot bottles, and the top part will break off realistically, and there'll be like liquor spilling everywhere. You can shoot the ice bucket, and the ice cubes will melt. I spent the entire like summer of 2000 just playing that demo. I don't even know if I ever played Zone of the Enders at that particular time. We were so into that demo.
I feel like what Vigil did with the first Darksiders, where they released a demo that was 90 minutes, the first 90 minutes of the game, because that is also a very involved RPG. So it's like there's a lot going on there, but in 90 minutes, I feel like you get the full breadth of the game's mechanics, and there's the tutorial there, so you learn how to play. The only mistake they made with that is not allowing people to unlock the full game after completing the demo.
Oh!
Because like, even if you enjoyed that, a lot of people aren't going to want to go back and replay the first 90 minutes of the game.
Not at all.
If you made a 90-minute demo that was just the first 90 minutes of a game like that, and then at the end of it you said, hey, click this button to purchase the full game and you can continue playing, that would be the best, I think.
Or even if it didn't even search for like a demo save.
Nope. You had to start it over.
You can't save with demos, man.
Wow.
That's something you gotta pay for.
Some of them do that, but like...
God. No, that's
like
totally
they
like,
should
that
do that.
would be... See, one game, I played a bunch of Assassin's Creed 3, you know, early on, and it was really super fun and exciting, and then I got the full version, and there was just a lot of really slow stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a while. I think like, you know, Mission 21 is called Training Begins.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't do the thing that I was being shown for quite a while in, and that's, I don't know. Do we like demos? What are we, I don't know.
I mean, I don't dislike demos, but I think, you know, for me, it kind of comes in like, for a game that I would want a demo of, the demo is not going to be representative of the game.
Yeah.
And if a demo is representative of the game, if it's something like an XBLA game or a racer or a puzzler, by the time I've played the demo, it's like almost too representative of the game. Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done.
Do you think that's like a common thing though, or do you think that's just you?
I can only speak for me, right? Like,
Well, I mean, I kind of agree. Like, if I played a game and it was all right, I probably wouldn't be compelled to buy the whole game unless the demo was like fantastic.
So, if they eliminated demos, like,
they shouldn't.
Since demos apparently only hurt game sales.
I mean, it's still it's still a consumer-friendly option though. Like, if they completely removed them, like, people would be really angry, even though a lot of games don't even release demos nowadays. But like, I feel like they should be there. I feel like it's the company's responsibility to make a demo that's as representative of their game as possible. And I think realistically, you have to have at least 60 minutes to do that. If your game is, you know, at least 6 to 8 hours long, I feel like 60 minutes is a good medium. It's just enough time. And I feel like it should be the first 60 minutes of the game, unless some crazy story twist happens. In which case, you'd find out anyway by playing the game, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I think games should start coming on cartridges more often. I liked cartridges quite a good deal. You've seen how much they can put on little tiny cartridges now? Entire gigabytes. They're fascinating to me. I'm just spitballing here.
You spend like a good 90% of the time just like not listening.